Hello, Professor. This is my project on Baba Yaga's Boba Tea, the decision based on customer surveys to determine customers' tastes towards potential seasonal product releases. Now, the very first thing that I did was trying to come up with an example of a business decision, and I decided to go with the goal in mind to learn more about a target population, or rather, what customer tastes are in that particular market niche. So I came up with the dilemma. Okay, so they're trying to figure out they're wanting to release a signature drink per different season, and they handed out surveys for customers to take to see what flavors that they wanted at that particular moment in time. And it was 250 unique customers. Any other surveys that were duplicates or maybe the same customer came in another day, they're disregarding those. So the very first entry that customer put in, they would also have the date and they'll sort them like that. So the very first 250 unique customer surveys was the only accepted. Now, from the customer surveys, we see that the predominant amount of people chose to do honeydew tea and lychee tea, and they wanted them to be served iced. And no, in spring that it is generally a little warmer. And then we also have the same thing in fall, where we notice that the herbal teas such as jasmine and hibiscus tea, those were the most popular, and the predominant amount of people that wanted those teas, they wanted them to be hot. So out of jasmine tea, only 12 actually wanted it to be iced, whereas 86 wanted it to be hot. And for hibiscus, only 8 wanted it to be iced, and 109 wanted it to be hot. So the idea is to draw a line from, okay, so these customers want a certain type of flavor in spring, and they want a different kind of flavor in fall. So we're seeing that in spring they like the more fruity flavors, in fall they like the more herbal flavors, and then in the spring they prefer their drinks mostly to be iced, probably because the outside is hot already, so they want to drink something to cool down. And then in the fall they want something to be hot so that they can warm themselves up because it's cold outside. So the idea is to draw a conclusion that people have different tastes in different seasons, and they also prefer it to be served a certain way depending on the season because that's when the climate. So it has to do with environmental factors. Let's see. So to communicate the results to the decision makers, they essentially just read and interpret the data as I've done, as I just did, and they decide, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and make our signature drinks during the spring, the honeydew and lychee, because they're gonna pick the two most populars to release. And then I mean, I guess customers can just get it any way they wanted, but I guess they just wanted to know what that data was. Um, so, and also in the fall they wanted the jasmine and the hibiscus. So they know that in the fall they like the more herbal flavors, in the spring they like the more fruity flavors, and along with the fruity flavors they liked it to be iced, whereas the herbal flavors they liked it to be hot. Now, something else that could be done with this data is not just figuring out, okay, what kind of signature drinks that we're going to release on certain seasons, but also during each of those seasons, they can narrow down the choices instead of having a mixture of fruity and herbal. Say in the spring, they all have a more wider variety of choices that are fruity, and in the fall, they have a more wide variety of choices that are herbal. So they can pinpoint what are the most popular choices of flavors within each of their own respective category. So that's also how this data could be used in the future to help open up more opportunities to figure out more of the data. All right. So let's see. And then there's also something else. Let's see. Refining process. Decision makers using information gathered during the previous stage to assess gaps in service. Okay. So the whole idea of this is essentially just to grow the business and to increase customer satisfaction and to generate more business. And I think that by following these sort of guidelines where they figure out what the customer actually wants instead of just serving whatever they think is necessary, by listening to the customer, the idea is that they're able to generate better business. So this was my presentation. I appreciate you listening, and I wish it could have been more. I haven't had a whole bunch of time. I've been juggling around studying for the ASVAB and doing all of this, so I appreciate your patience, and I'm willing to accept any grade. I understand. Thank you very much. Bye bye.